Hey, welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. Host Jeremy Todd coming to you from the New World headquarters. I know I've talked about it a few episodes ago, but my stepmom's coming in. She's painting the walls, which I'm jacked up about it. My buddy's building me a brand new desk out of hickory. It's going to actually look professional, which has never happened before at this show, but it's going to be cool. I'm excited about it and excited about change and changing things up in my life. And I've talked about that on the episode too, but change is good for sure. And sometimes when we talk about change in life, people really don't know how to take it. It's usually brought to it's like a negative thing of change. And what I've learned a long time ago is you got to get comfortable getting uncomfortable, and that's one of the biggest powers I've ever had in my entire life. Enough about that, but I want to talk about my guest today. Flowing River is in the house. What Flowing River does, he helps people align their body, mind, and spirit to the highest potential so that they can remember their lives' true purpose. He empowers each individual with the tools that help them walk the path of self-mastery, sovereignty, and freedom. Flowing River, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Jeremy, thank you so much. Really appreciate being on the show, and let's go deep.
Yeah, let's go deep, man. And like I said, that's what we're going to do today. And I've got all kinds of questions kind of stirring around in my head. The first question I want to ask you, we talk about spirituality and talk about life. And I was on this episode. I had my friends Krista and Lena last week, and I talked to her about these dreams that I was having, and I want to get your opinion because I thought about this last week. Now, if I replay this, the dream that I had, it was so bizarre and so weird because it was, and again, I apologize for the people I've already heard from the last, but this is going to be a different angle, so just bear with me. The dreams I had were so real. I mean, dude, I thought I could have called my buddy that was in the dream, and I don't remember him now anymore, but I thought that day, or that actually 3-4 days afterwards, I thought I could actually call him, and like that situation that I dreamt about was actually real. And I've thought about it since then, and it's been 2 weeks ago since I had that dream. But my question for you is, is that subconscious my life, or is that a different part of, maybe like another dimensional of my life? Am I running multiple dimensions of this life? Have I already experienced that? Is it me going to a different place where my mind, my brain's not smart enough to figure it out, but my mind's taking me to some other place that I may have not been ready for, or maybe I am ready for it. I don't know. But what do you think happened in that situation? And what do you think about other dimensions and other lives and other spirits into my life?
Absolutely. Loaded question. Love it. Let's knock it out of the park. So first and foremost, I mean, the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. That's why when you wake up out of the dream, you're going to feel everything that you were just waking up. So if somebody's like punching you in the dream and you're in a fight and you got punched in the stomach, well, guess what? You wake up and you're like, oh, my stomach hurts. Or, oh my gosh, I had that phone call with my friend. Like, is he going to remember? No, he's not. We're in a different dimension of reality here. We're back in the 3D. And so that's the first understanding. And the second is, for me, in my own experience, is that the dreamscape is a representation of the subconscious mind. So these are all of our past impressions that we've created, whether it's this lifetime or previous lifetimes, coming back to get cleansed, cleared, purified, released. And so we have an opportunity to lucid dream, to actually do healing work in the dreamscape until eventually you get to a place where you have no more dreams. Now, before you even start dreaming, you don't have any dreams. Why is that? Because you're so dense. And some people don't remember this space, but like you said, I'm not ready for it. I'm afraid to look at that. So we just suppress it, not only in our minds, our daily minds, but we suppress it in our subconscious minds too. But as you open up and clear your channel, you'll start dreaming more. And then your dreams will get more vivid. Then your dreams will become lucid. Then it'll feel like you're just going from one scene of the dream, waking reality, to quote unquote dreaming reality. And it's all just one continuous continuum of your mind stream. So it's really interesting, the different stages, the evolution of consciousness of when you're ready. So what you're talking about too is different dimensions at the same time. So yes, when we go into the dreamscape, we're going out of our body. Our mind is expanding into infinity to access a larger part of ourselves that we aren't accessing every single day. So we have the opportunity to navigate that and rewrite our stories, just as we do in our waking dreams. when we consciously manifest something, or we're like, hey, I want to change something in my life. So spirits, ideas, concepts, stories, all these things that appear to you are coming to you so that you can understand them in the way that your mind can interpret them. Like, for instance, if somebody is raised in a you know, Catholic situation, maybe they're going to be seeing Jesus, or maybe they'll see an angel as a guide that's helpful in the dreamscape, you know. Whereas if they're a Buddhist, maybe they're going to see a bodhisattva, you know, coming to help open their hearts to come back to compassion and be like, hey, forgive that person, let it go. And so that way you can live a more fruitful life. So for me, like, the spirit world is different aspects of yourself coming back to help you reintegrate something that you've pushed away. Why did you push it away? You pushed it away because you were ashamed of it. You were scared of it. You didn't want to associate with it. A very common thing is, Jeremy, you probably think you're a good person. That's like 100% of people. Basically, everyone's like, I'm a good person, but who's saying that? Your ego saying that. I'm a great person. I'm the best person in the world. In fact, I'm the most amazing person ever. And right. And so when somebody comes into your reality and says, you're a terrible person, Jeremy, you did some shit, like, you're like, no, first off, I don't want to hear that. I'm gonna close my ears. I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna push it away. I'm gonna get away from this person. This person isn't serving me. Really, what they're doing is they're just offering you an opportunity to be like, to take radical self-responsibility for all your thoughts, words, and actions. So that's kind of my primer on that subject. Totally, we can totally go wherever you want with that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because, you know, several things popped in my head. I mean, the first thing that ran into my head was the coming back, and why am I back on this planet again? What am I trying to prove? And you know, if I relate this to a lot of people that and this is going to sound, I don't know if it's going to make any sense or not, but I think it will. When people die early, when people die young, a lot of times their mission is, what I believe is, their mission is done on this planet, and whatever that is they came back here for, maybe it is their time to go back because they accomplished that, or they were on a wrong path. They didn't even know what the path they were on. It wasn't going to work again, and maybe they had to go back to start all over and come back again. And again, I know this may sound woo, or may sound a little bit different, but, and again, I don't know what the right answer is. I have no clue what the right answer is. I don't know what to believe. I don't know any of this stuff. But what I do know is that when you were talking about just a second ago, when you say, hey, everybody believes they're a good person. I believe I'm a good person. There's no question about that. But I also think that when things hit you between the eyes, they say, you know, you are a shitty person. You screwed this over. You did this or did that. And maybe you didn't intentionally do that. Maybe that's someone that's coming into your subconscious world that's telling you that maybe you didn't, maybe you did screw up. Maybe something else is wrong. But I think what happens with most people is they get defensive right away, and they want to attack that and defend themselves. And I think that's where you limit your ability to develop that next level. Because when people tell me that I suck at something, or I'm terrible, or I'm an asshole, I literally, my first, and this has taken me for years. My first impression, that I never get defensive, and I literally just listen to it, and it hurts. I mean, but I'm also in that. I'm in that moment. I'm feeling the pain. I'm feeling the rush of emotion that goes through my head. But I'm also at the same time understanding what this is trying to teach me. Is there something there that I need to pull out of the situation to get better, to get to the next level? And if I tie all this back in, you know, and again, this is just one thing I think about. And you know, we talk about God and talk about all these other things, but this is one thing I think about, that maybe I'm coming back, and all these little tests that I come up against are all these things that are going to try and get me to the next level, so that maybe I don't come back. Maybe my soul, maybe my spirit will not come back after I accomplish all these little things. And the big thing for me was I think there's a lot of smaller ones, but there's the big one for me and my family is, you know, again, everybody listen to the show, I'm not very authentic with myself, is the alcoholism part. I don't feel like I am, but again, definitions of alcoholism, there's a million of them. I'm not a raging drunk that's going to sit outside and pass out on a street with a bottle in my hand, lose my job, and lose everything. That's not me, but that's a definition of someone, the worst case scenario. But I think there's other definitions of alcoholism as well. I think it's something that slows you down. It doesn't continue to push you to the next level. It poisons you, and it slows your mentality down. And I think that's one of the things that I'm on this planet to really, really fight against. And I don't know maybe it's generation, maybe it was my past life or 2, 3, 4 past lives that I have never been able to conquer this. I feel sometimes that that is my next mission, to really completely conquer that. And then maybe, just maybe, that'll get me to the next level of subconsciousness where I don't come back. Maybe and I don't even know what the level after that is. I know that's a real long tangent. I'm sure you can go somewhere with that, but what are your thoughts about all that long tangent I just went on?
Perfect. I've had my own bout with alcoholism. First, let's start with the alcoholism first, because I've gone pretty deep into this as well. And what I've seen is, one, alcohol lowers your vibration. It makes you more dense. And basically, we get into alcohol because we're having a bout of insecurity. It brings us it calms our social anxiety, gives us that liquid courage to have confidence to move through something. Oh, I can be this, be myself now. But really what you're doing is you're just slowing down your mind, so that way you don't have that continuous stream of that dog chasing its tail going over and over and over your brain. So you feel like, wow, I'm more expansive now. But it's a trick, because as you go down the rabbit hole of alcohol and you get more and more dense, what ends up happening is it blocks your solar plexus. It blocks your willpower. So now, oh, I can't create something. I can't get a job. I can't do this. I can't do that. And when you feel like you can't, it disempowers you, which turns into anger and resentment. Like, why is life so fucking hard? Why is life so difficult? And then that resentment, you keep going back to the bottle to suppress that resentment, to lower your vibration so you don't feel the anger. But guess what happens? Now, when your girlfriend or something has a conversation with you, you snap at her and you destroy all your relationships. You become, your own island, isolated. And that's like worst case scenario that we're talking about now. So alcohol leads, for me, in my opinion, probably shared with you, alcohol leads nowhere, positive at the end of the day. So if you're out there and you need support, I mean, Jeremy sounds like he's got a lot of connections to help you get out of that hole. But for me, the answer was drop the bottle, make the commitment, because it's all about the strengthening your will. And so moving forward into the other things that you touched on, when somebody comes and says, River, you're an alcoholic, like, get your act together. You're a complete mess and in shambles, because I was drunk for 28 days straight, disheveled, destroyed, woke up and was like, my body hates me. I hate me. Like, what am I doing with my life? And in that moment, I made the decision, but to get clear and to release myself from that behavioral pattern that wasn't serving me. But my dad would always tell me that. He would always say, hey, River, you shouldn't drink alcohol. Like, it's not doing it. There's nothing positive that comes from alcohol. He would always tell me that. And I'd be like, yeah, Dad, I just brush it aside, push it off. No big deal. He wasn't like forceful about it, but it was a constant reminder. Now, if somebody came more forceful to me, I have two options. Like you said, we could get defensive about it, but really, what are you doing on an energetic level when you're getting defensive? You're resisting. You're blocking, you're putting up a wall, you're stopping the energy from flowing through your channel and being able to be released, instead of having the opportunity to surrender and expand energetically. When you expand energetically, now you raise your vibration. Now you can say, as you said before, you go into a higher level of consciousness, you level up. But if we resist, we're in attachment, we're holding on to this identity. Oh, this person's telling me I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm holding on to that alcohol is serving me. I believe inside of me that alcohol is bringing me some benefit. Oh, it allows me to have conversations easier. I can talk to women now, like, without, judging myself and blah, 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 blah. But it's all a trick to keep you trapped in that lower dimension of reality that isn't really serving you, other than to keep you looping over and over and over again. So we're great architects. We're great at programming our reality. We're great at manifesting things. We're great at what I like to say is downloading apps onto our operating system. What we're not taught is how to uninstall the programs, how to uninstall these self-sabotaging loops that keep us from accessing our highest self. So yeah, that's a little nugget.
Well, let me a couple different things I want to pull out of that. It's interesting when we talk about lowering the vibrations. and when you're getting this lower vibration and what alcohol does, and you're exactly right, it tricks you into these things. Now, I have, and I haven't had a drink in a week. And again, for all the people out there, it's not like I'm getting destroyed on a nightly basis. I mean, I get that, but I think one beer is enough because again, like you said, it's continuing lowering that vibration. And what's interesting, what I find, and I think you have to be mentally open to what is going on in your life. And I think when we're clouded by TV, we're clouded by the news, we're clouded by COVID-19, we're clouded by all these distractions in our life. We don't actually have time to really assess where our vibrations are. And I tell you, I haven't had a drink for a week, and I've completely got away from all social media, or not. I mean, social media for my show, but like the news and all this anger and fear and all these things. It's interesting because you can almost feel the vibration, my inner vibrations going up. The opportunities are coming to me, the better conversations are happening, and all these little things start happening. But what the ego does, and the ego comes in and says, Jeremy, things are going so well, let's have a drink. You know what I'm saying? It's like this vicious ass cycle, but it's those vibrations that are pulling you back down because they don't want you to go to the next level. You know, I think in reality doesn't want you to continue to grow and to become better. They want to hold you down and become safe and become, like everyone else. But I think internally, we all have these vibrations within us. We all have to understand that, but we're so clouded by the other things that are going on in our world. Let me ask you this question. How do you actually raise your vibrations?
Wow, there's so many ways to do that. I'll just touch on one of the quickest ways, just like you said, is back in the day, we needed to gather information as hunter and gatherers. Oh my gosh, that plant, if I eat it, it's going to kill me. But if my uncle told me don't eat that plant, great. Information was awesome. These days, it's the exact opposite. We're getting bombarded by information 360 degrees consistently. Even if you're not watching the news, somebody that's watching the news is bombing you with the news. So it's hypercritical to become a master curator. How can I create the external world to reflect what I'm choosing to be internally, right? It's doubly not only the inside work, but the outside work as well. So who am I following? Am I following the person that's telling me like shiny rims or, where I should be spending my money and like big giant diamond chains and stuff and like, objectifying women as sexual objects? Or am I following somebody that's, dropping positive memes, making me laugh and bringing me to that joy and also while at the same time giving me cosmic reminders of how, I can level up. And same thing with news. Are you just bombing yourself with fear porn all day long? Like contracting, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to cross the street. Like I got to be 6 feet away from somebody. Like, you create your reality, so if you shift your perspective, you shift your reality. So if you change, from attuning to the fear frequency and one into like, openness and happiness, well, guess what? You're going to gravitate towards not people that are all afraid and scared and 6 feet away from each other, but maybe there's like 6 people hanging around a fire and they're having like this beautiful community, like hangout session. And you don't even know that that's going on because you're just so stuck in your own reality. So music, think about music. It's the hook. It's a hook. What is it hooking? Hooks hook fish and they catch fish. And then you're out of the water and pretty soon you're on somebody's dinner plate. And whose dinner plate are you on? You're on consumerism's dinner plate. Now you're buying that person's, product. You're buying into their lifestyle and you're copying all their thoughts, words, and actions and becoming them yourself. You're giving away your sovereignty. So don't get hooked into your music. Listen to music that expands you and empowers you. Same thing with TV. You know what TV means? It means television. It means tell you your vision. Why is somebody else trying to tell me my vision? I have my own vision. I'm a sovereign being. It's TV programming. Who's trying to program you, right? So awaken to the fact that you get to choose what comes in to your body, because the information you take puts the formless being that you are into formation. So it's very critical. You are what you eat is like the simple way to say that. So, yeah.
No, it's exactly right, and you're exactly right by it. It's tell your it is telling you your vision. It's telling you exactly what to do, what to think, what to fear, what to love, and objectifying women and and keeping up with the Joneses. You know, when I became a minimalist a few years ago, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. You know, I have a certain amount of shirts, certain amount of pants. I have a car that I've driven for a long time, but it's very freeing to release all these objects and allow yourself to just be alone, to meditate, to think, to be bored. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you know, I looked at my son today riding his bike around by himself. I'm sitting on my front porch, not doing anything, just looking at him. And he's riding back and forth, back and forth. And I thought to myself two thoughts, and I ended up caving. But the first thought I had was, you know, it's good that he's riding around by himself. It's good that he is not playing a video game. He's not talking to any other kids. He's allowing his mind to wander and develop these skills at a young age that he doesn't need to be told what to think and what to feel. He's becoming his own individual. And when you look at TV and video games and trying to keep up with the Joneses, especially for kids, long term, I think it's kind of scary, and it's kind of it's really depressing because you're exactly right. When you see these things and they're telling you what your vision is. However, what I did with my son is I just let him be bored and allow him to develop his own vision, what he likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, what he makes him happy. And then I ended up going for a bike ride with him because I felt bad he was by himself. But I let him go for like 20 minutes just by himself, and you could just see it. He was in his own world, and who know? And you know, I'm just fascinated. I'm like, man, what's he thinking about? What's he? And there's no anger, there's no fear within him. He is just completely in his own world, developing his inner being. And when you see things like that, but again, it goes back to, for me, and I'll break my arm, pat myself on the back for this, allowing that to happen, but also being so proud of him because I could see it happening in front of me. And if we're not aware of these miracles that are happening in the real life, not fake world, not fake news, not fake TV, and all this fear shit going on, allow life to happen the way it should, peacefully and by yourself sometimes, man, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I took that away today, and man, I felt so much better about life for my kids and the future of them. So again, another random tip about nothing.
Absolutely. I'd love to share a poem just
Please,
to bridge it. This is off of the poetry book I released, The Flowing River. It's 144 poems from awakening the ego and the heart all the way to the embodiment of unconditional love. So this is poem number 2 out of 144, pretty early in the path, but it's awakening to what is happening in our 3D reality. It's called The Fallen. Confused by the world, used and abused, body, spirit, and mind defeated, get money or die trying, the mantra repeated. From the movies to the TV to the music and the magazines, it seems the whole world is green with greed. Planting the seed in my mind, I find the lie becomes my truth over time. As it takes root in my subconscious, unconsciously, I follow the herd, copying their clothes, manners, and words. The fear of being left behind keeps me ahead of the trends. I'm buying consumption. Prescription subscriptions got my hive mind buzzing as cognitive dissonance takes precedence, living for dead presidents. Critical thinking is all but lost. At night, I turn and toss, feeling empty inside, but I can't turn the tide because I run and hide, never confronting the shadows, rather point fingers and let the negativity linger, then come together. For my heart is as cold as December. With snowstorms blinding my vision, the math just ain't adding up to the division between what I know is right and wrong. I just sing along because I was told to. I never question why we do what we actually do. I wouldn't even have a clue because I could care less about the history. Too arrogant to learn the mysteries. The gall to think that you know it all is a curse saved for the fallen.
Dude, that's so powerful, bro. I freaking love that, man. It was a perfect transition too. That's exactly what's going on in this world. One thing you said that really stuck out was the prescriptions. You talked about that as well, man. I mean, it's just poisoning of the mind, body, and soul, and trying to keep up with all that, and then feeling lost, you know, feeling depressed. And I did an episode a few weeks ago on depression and suicide, man. It's just, that's it, bro. That's it right there, man. I mean, that was so powerful, bro. I mean, for everybody out there listening, make sure you check them out and make sure you get that book as well. I'm going to reach out to you also, man. I need the copy of that book as well. That was awesome, bro. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And absolutely, we were talking about alcohol before. Another thing is the prescription drugs. But what are we doing? We're resisting feeling the pain. We're resisting getting comfortable in the uncomfortable, as you said. That's actually a step of self-mastery, to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And when we resist the pain, we look for solutions. What is our solution? I don't want to feel this, right? So I'm gonna smoke weed every day. I'm gonna drink alcohol. I'm going to take prescription drugs. I'm going to get so busy with my life that I don't have time to look at the pain, which is very common that everyone does. But what happens? We think we're solving it. All we're doing is masking the symptoms. We're just numbing ourselves so that we don't feel. And I did this for like 15 years because it hurts, this life thing, it can be painful. And I became like a rock. So guess what? Yeah, I couldn't feel pain anymore. Mission accomplished, right? But at the same time, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel joy. You lose that luster and that awe for the beauty of life, and it's totally not worth the trade-off. Like, reopening the heart has been the greatest absolute, thing I've ever done. Incredibly challenging journey to do so, but when we can feel joy again and accept and integrate the pain, it's a superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a superpower, and it's not easy to do, but I think that's what people like yourself are just helping so many people out there. And it's so important. Again, obviously, if this resonated, make sure you reach out to Flowing River. We're going to have the contact information in the show notes, and we're going to ask how we can find him at the end of this episode. Now, one of the things I always like to do at this podcast, ask the same 7 questions I always ask, like to ask my guests. And Flowing River, are you ready for the 7 questions?
7 is heaven, baby. Let's do it.
That's right, my friend. Question number 1 is, what is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
The greatest lesson I've ever learned in my life is that I am worthy. And that's compliments to my father, because he told me in 8th grade, he's a great man, but he had a slip of his consciousness. And he told me I am worthless. It put me on a journey of healing for over 20 years to remember that, yes, I am worthy.
Yeah, that is powerful, brother. And that's it's, as I mentioned that episode I did a few weeks ago with the depression, man, that how powerful is that for people out there that are really struggling, that are getting close and then they can't make the decision, but hey, everyone's worthy, right? We just got to find our path and make sure that we don't give up too soon, for sure. Question number 2 is, what are you learning now?
What I'm learning right now is how to be in the spaceless space in perpetuity. So a lot of people talk about the flow state, entering into this flow state, but that's a shift of consciousness. I'm going into the flow state. What about embodying the flow state 24/7? So this is what I'm learning.
Yeah, that's powerful. And that's hard to do too, my friend. I mean, that's it's so funny when you're saying these things that and if someone's not on that, no disrespect, but if you're not on the subconscious, if you're not on this conscious journey to get to the next level, some of these things you're talking about may not be that, I don't know how to, I don't say not that powerful, but they're extremely powerful. But when you say things like that, and I'm with you, I know how difficult these things are. I know, but they're all worth it too, right? I mean, it's all trying to get better and get to that next level. And man, it's just so powerful that you're saying these things. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Question number 3 is, how has failure shaped your life?
Failure has always been a stepping stone to success. I've always had that mentality, as long as you don't repeat the same mistake again, it's not a failure. That's the way I view failure. So it's an opportunity for me to look at myself honestly, see what I can improve, and continue moving forward. If I make the same mistake twice, then perhaps I can look at it like, yeah, I messed up.
Yeah, totally. It's funny that you're exactly right. Yeah, if you actually, that should be almost the definition of failure. It's something you fucked up twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you fucked up once, you didn't learn your lesson, you did it again. That's a failure. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Question number 4 is, who do you know that I should know?
I think you should know Baji. Baji is a master of consciousness that runs a online community called Sangat of the Divine Light. And he has been one of my most profound teachers in taking me to the next level of consciousness. So definitely Baji.
Do you know, is he Baji, B-A-J-I?
B-H-A-J-I. But I can send you over the information for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that, and I'll reach out to Baji and on your behalf. And hey, maybe we can't get Baji on the show. That'd be awesome too. Question number 5 is, what have you read that I should read?
What have I read? A book I love recommending to everyone is Awakening the Buddha Within. It's kind of
Mhm.
like a starting step for Buddhism. But I find that Buddhism is like one of the highest levels of taking you from, you know, total egocentric living to an awakened being. And they just have all the steps, all the understandings, all the practices, all the tools. And there's that guy named Lord Buddha who reached perfect enlightenment, like back in the whole thing.
Mhm. Absolutely, there's no question about that. And there's so many things from the I want to say the religion from Buddhism that I've taken away. A lot of it it's a lot of it has to do with the mind, body, and the soul, and the journey we're on, the peacefulness. And there's a great book I read, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of the name of it. Um, it was the head. It was Desmond Tutu, and was it Gandhi? I think it was. And they went on it's the oh my gosh, the something about happiness. Anyways, Google Desmond Tutu happiness. There's a great book out there. Make sure you read it. It was given to me by a local Buddhist that I absolutely love the book. I've read it actually twice. It's beautiful, and it just shows you how much long gone my mind is. I can remember. I've read the damn thing twice. That's great. Question number 6 is, what have you done that I should do?
Meditate. Meditate. Meditation is the absolute key. One thing you actually said in the earlier in the thing was like, get bored, which is interesting. The way I equate that to is do nothing. So
Mhm.
like, I'll just sit in the sun, for 30 minutes and literally do nothing, think nothing, and just melt. And that could be a meditation, for somebody. Or if you're in meditation, a lot of people get into guided meditations, into breath work practices, all these things, it's like getting complex. What if you just meditate and do nothing?
Yeah.
It's interesting what happens. I'll let you find out for yourself.
Yeah, one of the things about the meditation, and it's interesting, it's helped me out tremendously. Well, real quick question: how often do you meditate, and how long do you meditate?
I meditate every day, and I meditate between probably 2.5 and 5 hours a day.
Um, no, I mean, I totally get it. It's
Yeah.
interesting when someone every once in a while people ask me, they'll say to them, I just don't know what to do with whatever the situation. I just can't figure this out. And I always tell them the same old story, because then they look at me like I got horns coming out of my head. And I tell them, just go meditate. Well, what does that
Yeah.
mean, Jeremy? Well, just go be quiet. Just go sit there and shut everything off and just sit there. And it's amazing. Like, the first level of for what I would consider my meditation, for an extremely busy person that's never done it, is the first of all, you realize how quiet everything is, and then you start looking around like, what the hell am I doing? And then all of a sudden you start thinking about different things that are just flowing into your head. And it's amazing when you clear out all the bullshit, you clear out of the noise, you clear out the stress, the whatever's going on in your life. All of a sudden, answers start coming to you, and
Mm.
it's bizarre how it works. And to be honest, it doesn't happen to me every time, but most of the time, when I need to figure something out that's extremely complex and I don't know what to do, I sit in silence. I don't say anything to anybody, and I just think about it. It allows me to evaluate the situation. It allows me to gain inner peace with the situation, and that's when the answers start coming to me. Is when I'm at peace with where I'm at in my own mind and in my own soul, and I'm
Mm.
quiet.
Absolutely.
There's just a calming presence there, and I love that.
Absolutely.
Final question, flowing river. How can I add value to you?
Let everyone know about the Flowing River poetry book. It's always my great joy to help others to open their hearts and illuminate their minds. So I really feel that, this book was divinely guided and to do exactly that.
Absolutely, I will, my friend. And this is going to sound my. This is so funny that you're talking about poetry, because recently, about a week ago, I thought maybe I should try poetry. maybe I should write something out. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And then that thought goes away. And then like 3 months later, I'll think about it again. Maybe I should try that once. And then a year go by, I don't do it. Because then and again, this is probably a lot of people listening to the show. With poetry, the first thing that comes to mind is these old poems that that don't really resonate today. They don't really resonate with me. But the way you read your poem, that resonated, that was real shit. That was today. That was like real knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And that is a bridge between the talent, the skill level of poems. When we say the word poem, it's like I think of this, Shakespeare dude from the 1600s and a violin. I mean, that's the thought that comes to my mind. But in reality, that's not reality. And I think what you're doing is powerful because it's such a gift, and it's such a powerful tool to express how you feel through an art form. And I am just a big fan of poetry. And like I said, I've kicked around doing it myself, and I'm a big fan of your book. I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna share it, and it'll be all, I'll talk about it on my show for sure, my friend. So
Thank you.
absolutely, brother. Now tell everybody around the galaxy where they can find you.
Real quick, I got to drop one more poem for you if that's
Yeah,
okay.
do it, man. Do it. Hell
Okay,
yeah.
this is number 27 of 144. So it's up the ladder a little bit. And it's called I Am. It's that powerful moment when you remember how powerful that statement I am is. So it goes like this. I am the truth. I am the light cutting through the night, piercing your soul, strumming the chord of humanity that awakens ancient ideologies, shifting perceived realities as the shimmering waves of heat in the distance, realizing the pinnacle of our existence, the essence of our being, by seeing past the 3D into the infinite fractal nature of me, consciously expanding in all 7 directions simultaneously, reaching for what is already held deep within. We find the key, LOVE, turn it and see. What happens next leaves scientists perplexed. The spark of lightning arcs across the ether to connect 2 points as if joints. Time sinks to synchronistic, surrealistic reality twisted to the riddle in the middle of our souls. Deeper we go down the rabbit hole, never quite knowing the plan, but understand all is revealed in due time as the unfolding of the divine. When we align and follow the signs, taking the path with the heart, we start to tear apart the fabric of reality and replace it with our dreams, stitching the seams with streams of life, flowing through the landscape of time with crystalline visions we've held within our minds. So visualize the future and cure the present with your presence. Focusing your attention with the power of intention is the key to ascension. We rise with the sunrise, the truth reflecting back at me in your eyes, glistening as we begin listening to the rhythm, turning the concept of them into us. We are on the cusp of a breakthrough, but who has the courage to do what it takes to shake the shadows of their souls, clear the fear and the pain to obtain bliss, so that you can unclench your fists and inspire the next 7 generations to hold that vibration of love, compassion, and patience.
Dude, it's so beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. It's a dope ass cover. Put that cover back up there. Let me see that again.
Yeah, I actually designed this as well. I do visionary art.
Yeah, that's dope too. You got Buddha sitting right there too.
Yeah. So you guys can check me out. It's flowingriver.co. That's .co. I've got all my visionary art up there, mantra books, as well as poetry books and other things. I'm also on YouTube if you want to see the art in motion, poetry in motion. And feel free to check out howtoraiseyourvibration.com if you're interested in learning the tools and techniques of self-mastery so that you can clear your channel and step into your greatest, lightest, brightest self.
Brother, I love you putting on the show, my friend. I appreciate your time. It means, at the end of the day, time is one of the most important things we have, and I appreciate that more than you know. So thank you so much for getting on the show. And everybody out there, like I said, check out the show notes. He'll be in there, and I'll have all the links there, all the things he just talked about. Obviously, if you got any questions, reach out to him, reach out to me. You can always reach out to me, Jeremy at jeremytodd.com. Check us all out on social media. Share this episode because I guarantee it'll change someone's life. I say it in every single episode. You've got greatness within. Like always, this is The Positive Side.